CBC's poll tracker revealed this week that if an election was held now, Andrew Scheer would be Canada's next Prime Minister, leading a Conservative minority government. But our pollster, Eric Grenier, tells me that the numbers reflect more of a disappointment in Justin Trudeau than a resounding love for Scheer. The Saskatchewan MP is a political veteran. At 25, he was elected to the House of Commons. At 32, Speaker of the House. And at 38, he won the Conservative leadership and began taking shots at Justin Trudeau.
Inconveniently for the Prime Minister, that's just simply not true. Mr. Speaker, it's hard to exaggerate just how out of touch this Prime Minister is with the lives of Canadian families. He thinks you help the middle class by buying Broadway tickets for Wall Street big shots. The Prime Minister and the Finance Minister cannot answer simple questions.
As leader, Scheer promised to cut Trudeau's carbon tax and to move the Canadian Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem, but many of his policies are yet to be fully defined. We do know that as an MP, he leaned socially conservative, opposing abortion and same-sex marriage. The federal election is still more than a year away, but our poll shows Canadians don't really know who Andrew Scheer is and what he stands for. I interviewed Scheer on Friday afternoon. So, not sure where this is going to go, but it sounds like there is some kind of deal on NAFTA, an agreement in principle, some kind of symbolic handshake. We don't know the details, obviously, yet, but it does sound like President Trump seems to be focusing on China instead of on Canada. He is accusing China of cheating, basically, on global trade. Do you think that China is cheating?
I don't know that I would use the exact same decision-making process that the President of the United States makes. I do have concerns with the way that the Chinese government does manage their own economy. There's a lot of state-owned enterprises. That's why I've been saying that now is not the right time for a free trade deal with China, something that Justin Trudeau continues to pursue. I have major concerns around national security. We see more and more in the news takeovers like AECon and others where the Liberals are not putting those transactions through a rigorous national security review. So I have my own concerns about that. I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for growth in trade with China that will benefit our economy. But I think that we do have to have a level of care.
Right now, there's a roughly $20 billion deficit. Do you want a balanced budget? Is that what you would bring in?
I do. I believe it's very important. But how would you do that?
I know that you're not coming up with your policy platform fully until this summer, and even then fully, we'll see, with an election a year and a half away. But what would you cut?
Well, I know that's always where many want to go to immediately. You know, we have a government that always finds new ways to spend money. Not all of it is spent here at home improving the lives of Canadians. But first, let's go back to why Conservatives are so passionate about returning back to balanced budgets. I've got 5 kids. It's not fair to them that we have a government that has no plan to return back to balanced budgets. And keep in mind, Canadians voted for a balanced budget. Every single party running for office, the NDP, Liberals, Conservative, we all promised a balanced budget. Justin Trudeau promised to have that balanced budget in year 4, but he still promised to have one. Now, you can't even get the finance minister to say the word balanced budget. We don't think it's fair.
In this new budget, there's a $1.5 billion put aside to help Indigenous families. Would that be something that's a big commitment for this government? Would it be for you?
We're going to have our pathway back to balanced budgets, and it'll be clearly spelt out. I can point to lots of examples of where the government has their priorities wrong. For example, $500 million to invest in an Asian infrastructure bank. This is an infrastructure bank that will build projects in other parts of the world, not even here in Canada. That's $500 million of tax money going to projects that won't create a single job here in Canada. It won't make the commute easier in big cities here, won't improve our drinking water here in Canada.
Some big news for you and your party this week. You're now leading in the polls, could perhaps form a minority government if it were this week. So I guess that's good news for you. But the bad news is that it doesn't seem to be driven by sheer mania. It seems that people are disappointed in Justin Trudeau. So some good news, bad news there for you.
I thought sheer excitement was trending the other day. Maybe my staff just told me that. But no, look, I disagree. I think that a lot of people are coming back to the party because of the type of image I'm portraying, the way that I'm portraying conservative principles in a more positive way, talking about how we can improve the quality of lives of all Canadians. I think that they're seeing the contrast between myself, who understands the serious aspects and some of the consequences that can happen with government policy.
Lately, there's been a fair amount of attention on NDP leader Jagmeet Singh and his association with some Sikhs with extremist views. There's also been a little bit of criticism of you for your links in the past to Rebel Media, which is associated with rather extreme views on Muslims and associations with white supremacists and so on. Your campaign manager now, Hamish Marshall, was directly involved with building Rebel. Why did you choose him to run the campaign? Are you not at all worried about messages of sending out now, I mean, that Rebel has gone so far down this white supremacist path?
Well, I think it's clear that at a certain point when it was obvious of the direction that the Rebel was going in, that I made the decision not to continue to have an association, as did Hamish Marshall.
But wasn't it clear much earlier? You know, like back in March, you had Gavin McGuinness talking about 10 Things I Hate About Jews. Faith Goldie, who you went on, you were interviewed by her, was calling for a crusade against Muslims.
I believe he was on the I believe he was on the CBC too, and I don't hold everybody
and not treated
accountable
the same way as he was on the Rebel.
Well, I don't hold everybody in this, in any media outlet responsible for every single other person ever involved. And I certainly don't hold other politicians accountable for if they've been on, for example, Vice News, which had its own issues or major allegations in certain areas. So, I made the decision going forward. I won't have a personal association with them, as have other members of my campaign team. I think that's what Canadians expect. And I'm very comfortable with that decision.
Hamish Marshall's on the record as saying that he's an expert in digital marketing and so on. And now there's a lot of controversy with Cambridge Analytica and all we've learned about Facebook and so on. And I'm just wondering, can you assure us that your party will not be involved in psychographic information harvested from social media, that you won't be using bots? It does seem to be very much an issue of the day.
Well, I would note that the only party that has an affiliation with that type of thing has been the Liberal Party. Some of the people involved in that very thing were hired by the Liberal Research Bureau.
Chris Wyler with Cambridge Analytica, yeah.
Our party has not done that. We have made the commitment that going forward, not even going forward, we've always respected privacy laws, communications laws, every time there's been a change on how.
But these laws don't actually apply to this. That's why this has been allowed to sort of slip under people's radar for so long. So, can you commit that, not just that you'll obey the law, I'm sure you would do that, but that you won't be using this sort of emotional manipulation of people's data to help win votes? I think a lot of parties have done this over.
We're very transparent, and every single thing that we put up, that the Conservative Party puts up, you can see. The ads that are being run. We're not engaged in any of the other type of thing.
So no bots?
Yeah, absolutely. To think that a political party in Canada would artificially create accounts, that would not be something that we would in any way condone. If other parties are doing it, I would be very alarmed. As I said, we stand behind everything we put on. We put our ads up, we put our posts up. Everyone can see what they are while the ads are running. There's a whole list of them. I think that's great. I think that the more Facebook and Twitter and Instagram can show users what is being put out there and who is behind the accounts, I think that's essential. And what we're seeing with a lot of these things is not so much about whether or not what's being said. It's who's saying it and who is providing the funding for it.
Well, it's been lovely to talk to you, and I really appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.